Here's a quick update on these pre-combined crashes, which I'm pretty sure they are associated with pre-combines. That includes, let me see here. Let's get this back up. That includes this one here and this one here. Okay, so one of the interesting things about this, this was the previous one, the one I had in the last video. If you take a look at it, and you go in and, let's not do that. Let's go in and do a search for, okay. So it found literally 15 instances of prp.esp. It looks like a lot of that's in the stack. So that's how I kind of took a wild shot in the dark and discerned that um, it was related to PRP, which is the pre-combined repair pack. Well, basically pre-combined and previs. Okay, so I got another one here, and I'll tell you exactly what I was doing when I got it. So let me bring it up here first. So here's the buff out log. If you want to see just some filtered information, you can see that it's kernel based, so there's nothing really in there other than just kernel based stuff. Let's do let's look for PRP. Okay, so there's 12 instances of that. So once again, PRP is coming up quite a bit. Looks like in the stack, call stack. The only other thing in here that I could see was, I believe, orphans, but that was just simply something that was processing or being processed at the time. Whereas before, in the previous one, in this one here, it was flashy. Everything was PRP except flashy. Down here, everything's PRP except orphan. So I just think that happens to be whatever was executing at the time. Now, what I actually did was I was playing this particular game here. And I have, okay, so I'm playing this particular game, which is the current game. So we're cruising along, playing the current game. Then I load this game up, which is a previous game. And because what I'm doing is I want to make sure that I have the current settlement exported using transfer settlements, because as I was playing this particular game here, I literally was, kind of like adding things as I go. I thought, okay, I'll get this done, and then I'll export all these at one time. But then I kind of changed my mind. I started another test, and I was trying to eliminate some problems, which it did. Just starting a new game actually eliminated a lot of issues, because a lot of mods in the previous playthrough, which is marked in blue, that was, I actually had installed a lot of mods during that test. But anyways, so I was at, I want to say Kingport Lighthouse. I don't believe it was Crew Manor. I believe it was Kingsport Lighthouse. And everything was cool. So I go back and I load a save from a previous game, which was from the Sheila Adkins character up there in blue. And then I fast traveled to Kingsport, exported the settlement, and then I went back in to import it. So okay, so once I exported it, I reloaded a game save from my current game, which was the most recent save I had, to import that same settlement through transfer settlements. And once the load started, immediately when it started to load, it crashed. So I'm thinking, but I've done this in every single settlement that I've acquired so far, and there's quite a few of them. There's really quite a few. If you show supply lines, there's really quite a few settlements that I've got here. These are all connected with the IDEC desk, so you can see. So every one of these, I did pretty much the exact same thing. Unfortunately, it started crashing now. So in these past two instances, so one was Jamaica Plains, the other was Kingsport Lighthouse. So the only thing I can think of here is somehow the precombines might have some bad data or something's basically wrong with them, because it is a work in progress, and it has helped a lot. It's improved frame rates. Before, where I couldn't make it to Crew Manor past Reeves Marina, I can do that now. I could even do it in the previous one once I got the precombines in there. So there might be something in there that's interfering, or maybe something in the precombined data that's crossing paths with something else. Although, like I say, it's rare. Both those happened when reloading the cell. So, except for this UI crash, but these happened when reloading the game, which would actually reinitialize the cell. So I'm curious if some of the previs or precombined is left over from the previous game. Even though you're loading a new game, I wonder if the engine somehow says, you know what, I'm going to hang on to some data because it's kind of like the same game. Let me see if I need it. From the previous game, it saves me from having to reload it all. If I don't need it, then I'll free it up later. Or it tried to free everything up from the previous game just before it loaded the new game, which would make more sense to me. Clear everything out from a previous game before you even attempt to load a new game. Um, and that way you don't have to worry about what resources you need to release. You can just release them all and then start fresh. So I'm thinking it has to do with the releasing of the resources. Like I say, right when the load starts, it's instant. And then once I go back into the game, I can reload that game save, my most current game save, absolutely no problem. So there's something to do with swapping game saves backwards and then coming back in that seems to be an issue. And it's something that PRP doesn't like, because there's a ton of PRP instances in this buff, in the buff out log. Actually, in both of them, I think this one had 12 occurrences in the stack, and this one had 15, or vice versa. Okay, so that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna keep on trucking with this, and then I got some coding I'm gonna do. And then I'm probably gonna put some stuff in here to where I can actually log some incidences, and then I can easily track them, transfer them with load orders, things like that. Nothing major, just something to help me kind of keep track of my debugging stuff. But yeah, let me get back to this, and I'll post anything else if it comes up.